Hi, welcome back to LocaCarnivore. We're glad you could join us. And today we're going to show you how to carry a full-size gun in the summertime instead of a little marginal mouse gun like this. Hi, before we get started, again, a quick reminder, give us a like, subscribe to our channel, go down into the comments, give us a comment. We need your support to continue making good videos and making better and more videos. So there's a link down in the description to our Patreon site. We'd appreciate it if you go down there. We also have a Facebook page. We'd appreciate it if you join us down there too. Why would you want to carry a full-size gun in the summer when a small gun is much easier to conceal, especially under light clothing? Well, basically, if you have something like a Glock 19 or a full-size 1911, you have a better pistol. You have a proper fighting gun with you. It's got a longer sight radius, it's got higher capacity, it's also generally going to be a better caliber, such as 9mm, 357, 45, 10mm instead of a 380 or a little 38 out of the snub. So what are the basic principles of carrying a full-size gun, or any gun for that matter? First of all, it's the gun. This is an entire system. So you've got the gun, you've got the leather, i.e. holster, and then you have the wardrobe, the clothing you're going to wear. And you have to match these all together and use a little common sense. Let's talk about phase one of the system. So component number one is the gun. This is a full-size Glock 21 and 10mm. We have to make a plan for how we're going to carry this gun. The form factor, as they say, I hate that term, but at any rate, the form factor, as they say, is going to dictate the rest of the system. The second tier of the system is the holster, or the leather. And there's three different types that I'm going to discuss with you today. First of all would be an inside the waistband holster. This is a Safariland Model 27. It has a very nice deep J hook in it. Hopefully you can see that. I'll put that a little closer. Very nice deep J hook. That fits under your belt so that when you grab the gun, you don't get holster and gun at the same time, which is very embarrassing to not have the holster attached to the gun. It's a little off-putting. And look on the bright side, your assailant might actually fall down laughing so hard that they're not a threat anymore, which problem solved. But we want something. We don't want those silly little metal clips or anything like that. There are through belt loops that loop all the way around, but they create extra room on the belt. So what we need is something that's very flush fitting to the waistline and to the belt, and is not going to something that fits very flush so that we have a minimum of surface area that disturbs around the line of your waist, so it's all one uniform continuous surface to the eye of the observer. Another means of carrying is the belly band, and we're going to spend a fair amount of time in this video talking about belly band carry. The belly band is your best option, in my opinion, under very light clothing, because there's nothing on the outside of the belt line, no hooks, no straps, none of this sort of business. So it's very smooth, and you're going to see that in just a few minutes when I demonstrate it. Your third option, of course, is pocket carry. This is a Safariland pocket holster. If you're going to pocket carry, remember you have to have a pocket holster. Problem with pocket carry is we have to use very small guns, like this little Model 642 Smith & Wesson revolver. While we're on the subject of the size of the gun, barrel length is irrelevant, in my opinion, when it comes to concealing, even in the summer. You can carry a longer barreled weapon with 3.5 or 4-inch, even a 5-inch barreled gun without much problem, because if you're using that inside the waistband carry, that's going to go down inside your pant, and it's basically invisible. The other advantage of a longer barrel is when this gun is sitting in your pant, a longer barrel will contact your hip, and it will tend to push the grip of the gun into your side and help conceal the gun even further. So instead of it hanging out a little bit, it will tend to push the gun in closer, flush to your body. The other thing is a longer barrel, some short barrels, depending on the holster and your body size, the muzzle will actually jab you in the hip, and it'll be very uncomfortable to carry the gun, and you won't want to carry it, or you'll be constantly shifting it or just kind of fidgeting and stuff like that. And that's usually a dead giveaway to anybody who's trained on how to spot somebody carrying a gun. Are they fidgety? Do they look uncomfortable? Do they keep touching the same spot on their body all the time? In my opinion, if you can carry this Glock 26, you can find a way to carry something bigger, like this Glock 19. 10 rounds in the magazine, 15 rounds in the magazine. So we get to the point where if we can carry a Glock 19, a mid-size, what is called in the industry a compact gun, why can't we carry a full-size gun like this 1911? It's not that big of a step up, really, when you think about it. It's got that longer barrel, so it's going to tend to rock even more into your side and stay more flush to your body. It is a proper size gun with a full-length grip. It's got a long sight radius, and depending on the gun, you have reasonable capacity. This 10mm with one in the chamber would give you 10 rounds, which with a 10mm is pretty good stuff. So it seems like a big step, but it's not that big of a step. If we do the rest of the system correctly, we can carry this full-size gun, and we can do it comfortably, and it'll be there for us if we need it in an emergency. Let's talk about our clothing system. I'm wearing just a t-shirt at this point in time, but a lot of people will cover the t-shirt. Trying not to get my mic cord all screwed up here. Oh, the joys of making videos. They'll put an outer cover shirt on, and it's going to be a large sort of blousey shirt, and this is so they can carry a fairly good sized gun. This is not a bad way to go. However, you have to think about the logic of the situation you're in. This is fine if it's, say, a mild day, 65, 70 degrees, maybe even pushing 80, somewhere in there. It's fine, and depending on the environment you're in, if it's more rural or more laid back kind of a casual environment, this doesn't look too out of place. This is a safari type shirt. You might want to go something that's maybe a little less, military-ish with the patch pockets and all that sort of stuff, but it just depends. But it's a nice wide shirt. You're going to get a size large shirt or buy one size larger than you normally wear, so you have enough room under here to carry the gun, and it will remain concealed. As I said, if the temperatures are reasonable and it makes sense that you would have an outer shirt on, it's nothing that anyone's going to really pay any attention to. But if it's 95 or 105 degrees, this is going to look a little out of place. Why would you have this t-shirt on with this thing over the top of it? Maybe there's a lot of people who really wouldn't give it much thought. But for me, the first thing I think of when I see somebody, do they have clothes on which are appropriate to the current circumstances? And if they're wearing a hoodie and a whole bunch of extra stuff and a vest and all this, and it's 90 degrees out, I'm like, what's up? Or it's a big coat or even just a jacket. I'm like, I would be sweating at 95 degrees with that on. Why is this person wearing that? So this means that other people that think in those terms, when they see you dressed like this on a super hot day, are going to wonder themselves, hey, does that person probably have a gun on? And it's starting that thought process that they're going to work on it. And if there's somebody that wants to do you harm and they think in the same sort of terms, remember, felons in prison, they talk about this and they train each other all the time. Prison's often referred to as a higher education institution for criminals, and they learn these various things. So they're looking for these sorts of things as well, because when they want to do a crime, they're thinking, what's going to impede me? What's going to get in my way? Because remember, we're talking sociopaths and psychopaths, and their only things that they have in their mind is getting what they want, getting it as quickly as possible, and getting whatever's in their way out of their way. And if you're in their way, they're going to try to get you out of their way. Dressing like this when it's 95 tells them you're probably somebody they're going to have to get out of the way. Another alternative to the shirt thing is the vest, and a lot of people go with the vest look. Its advantage is it's cooler than the big shirt because you don't have anything covering your sleeves, so it gives you a little more airflow and things like that. Depending on your environment, it may not provoke any extra thought on people. Again, if you're in a more rural environment, there's people walking around with fishing vests on all the time because they're out doing recreation and all that sort of stuff. But the type of vest is very important. If you wear that classic khaki military operator vest that was, or contractor vest, that kind of became a tactical thing, well, now it's basically everybody that sees that kind of vest, they think gun. And so I call it the shoot me first vest. So this vest here, which is a Columbia, is a little more sport looking, and it's a little more relaxed looking. It doesn't have, first, it's not khaki, that's a big thing. And second of all, it's maybe not quite as militaristic looking, but it still, to some people, will maybe get the wheels going. And if I see you with this on and it's 100 degrees out, the wheels are starting in my mind as to why is this person dressed like this? And my first thought is, it's probably because they have a gun on. The one reason why people use the outer shirt or the vest thing is because they want a t-shirt on because they don't want the gun rubbing on their skin. And that is a valid thing. It's not terribly comfortable. However, there are some things you just have to adapt to. First of all, if you use the right kind of leather and a good holster system, the fact that the gun's up against your body isn't going to be that big of a deal. Second of all, if we use guns that have a lot of stainless steel in them or are polymer with corrosion-resistant finishes on the steel parts, these guns will be fine up against the sweat of your body. Let's talk about dressing realistically for super hot weather. Okay, I basically consider this 85 degrees on up, and we're not going to want a t-shirt on underneath. Typically, we're going to be wearing just a single garment. Now you get into the issue of what should you wear. A lot of people just want to wear a t-shirt and get away with that, and that's fine, but I would suggest avoiding knit type materials because they tend to cling, they grip, and they also conform very easily to what's underneath them. So the possibility of printing with wearing a knit shirt is much higher than with a more broadcloth type shirt like this. And depending on your environment, where you're going and everything, this is perfectly acceptable. And yes, the shirt tail is out and not tucked in. There are holsters out there, plenty of them on the market. Some are good, some are very good, that let you tuck your shirt in with the holster on, and that's good. Got to be careful. A lot of them still have some sort of mechanism that goes on the outside of the belt, albeit very discreet, which if you don't have another cover garment on will be very obvious. Somebody just looks and they can see these little prongs or grips or something on the belt, and it's like, aha, there's something on his belt, but there's nothing showing what's going on. And the savvy person will go, aha, there's a gun. The tuckable type holsters are primarily designed for people who have to have business attire on for whatever reason. So you're going to have your shirt tucked in. It's a dress shirt with dress pants. You're going to be wearing a suit. But that outer suit coat, that provides your cover garment, or a vest and a suit if you're wearing a three-piece, whatever. That covers up those little attachment systems that they have that still have to grab onto the belt. So we've got this basically lightweight shirt on. You can go a size larger, but that starts to get into that problematic thing of if you're too blousy, if your shirt is too voluminous. Again, to my mind, I'm starting to think, why does this guy have an oversized shirt on? Some people just like to wear it. It just, again, depends on your environment, what is fashionable, not fashionable, and let's leave fashion out of it. What's just simply going to blend in the best. So you need to blend in. You want to be that gray person that's in the background, and nobody's going to give you a second thought as you go about your daily business. Okay, let's talk a little concealed carry 101. First of all, I'm modeling these without a cover garment so that you can see the holster and the gun. What I have here is the Safariland Model 27 holster, inside the waistband holster, and a Glock 26 that is in there, 10-shot subcompact. Now I have a Glock 19 in the same holster, and as you can see, yeah, the grip of the gun is a little bit longer, but if I have an appropriate angle, appropriate cant to the gun, and this is really the critical key in carrying that larger gun, is having a good cant. You'll see that the line of the grip comes up to meet my floating ribs, and there, if I bend over And that's what people are mainly concerned about, is printing when they're carrying 4 o'clock position. If they bend over to pick up something in a supermarket or whatever, that gun is then, the grip of the gun is going to poke straight out of the cover garment and give away and be a tell that they have a gun. Now, if you have the gun straight up and down, yes, that's a significant concern. So the key here is to put a proper cant on the gun and have a holster system that will hold that cant, will not allow the gun to ride back and tip back. So you do have to have a good holster that way. And you'll also see that the hook here on the belt is very smooth, very unobtrusive, so there's no extra bulk there at all. All right, now I've changed over to my Galco belly band. There are several out on the market. I like the Galco a lot. I'm going to show you why in a minute. But I like the Galco. There's other ones from DeSantis and a few other makers. The key to these, though, is to make sure that they're made of a breathable material and that they're fairly wide so they support the gun and distribute the weight. As you can see, the belly band allows you to get that gun down really low in the pant, compared to most of the other holsters out there are going to tend to ride a little high. This thing is just down to where I can just get a proper firing grip on the gun, but it's not up any higher than that. And as you can see, and we also want to bring the gun forward a little bit, closer to the center line of the torso, the side center line, basically your pant seam. If you have it too far back, that's when it's going to try to print as you bend over more. So we need to have it forward enough, and if it's a thin gun, like this 1911, as you can see, this front aspect is very minimal, so it's going to there's not much bulging there at all, no gross asymmetry. And if you have a shirt that has a proper amount of drape to it, as you'll see in a minute, it's going to basically disappear. But again, we have that angle, so if you have the angle properly as you bend over, it's not going to print, and the gun is comfortable to wear when seated in a car or a restaurant desk, wherever you might be. If you go with the small of the back, that's extremely uncomfortable. Also, on top of that, it's very dangerous. If you fall down for whatever reason and fall right on that gun, it will break your spine, I guarantee you. As you can see with the belly band, there's no need to go to a super small gun. Nice thing about the belly band, though, is, and I'm not going to demonstrate obviously, but you can drop your pants and the gun stays completely in position on your body. Another advantage, you don't need a heavy belt, although it helps to snug everything up. If you've got that option, that's great. You can wear the belly band with sweats, with elastic waistband shorts, whatever you might want, and you can still have that proper full-size fighting gun available to you. So let's see how this works out in practice. I have a size medium cotton shirt on. It's very lightweight, it's extremely comfortable. I can wear this and be comfortable at 105, 110 degrees. It's got a lot of airflow. However, can you tell that I have a gun on? I would say that unless you're really actively looking for it and you know what you're looking for, you're probably not going to see a gun. And as you can see, I have a full-size 1911 on with this setup. I have it just low enough that it's as low as I can get it, but still get a proper firing grip on the thing for a good draw. And with these ultra-thin grip panels, this gun is very thin in cross-section. So again, no matter what you're doing, passes the arms over the head test. Shouldn't be able to see the gun. But this has got zero flash to it. If there is any printing, it's very minimal. And again, we have to look at the type of garment. Avoid solid colors. We want something with a pattern to it, preferably a variation of color on it, but without being terribly loud and obtrusive. Again, we want to be that gray person that just blends in. Nobody thinks about us when we're going about our business. We just are part of the scenery, and that's what we want to be, just part of the scenery. Give us a big like, thumbs up, subscribe, ring that little bell, and go over to Patreon and help support us. And don't forget to join us at LocaCarnivore.com. As always, stay aware, stay safe, and we'll see you next time on LocaCarnivore.